Pisces, what's going on? It's your girl D here with 8th House Energy, here to bring you your individual solar return reading for Pisces. The solar return is on June 12th. This is a major time for manifestation. It's like a new moon on steroids, right? So, new moons are all about manifestation, and when we have solar eclipses, it's all about putting out good intention, putting out positive intention, starting over, starting fresh. Okay, it's like a new beginning, a new lease on life as the universe is giving you. So you definitely want to take advantage of it. So that's why I did this reading for you. What you also want to do is, in the description, there is a link to the solar eclipse reading in Gemini that I did for everybody, because it goes into detail as far as what people could be experiencing and why. So check that out as well, because that goes hand in hand with this reading like peanut butter and jelly, baby. All right. So I'm going to throw out a couple of cards here and just talk to you about this briefly. This is not going to be too long of a reading. All right. What does Pisces need to know about this? Thank you. All right. And then one more deck here. We're not using traditional tarot for this reading, okay? This reading is going to be runes, Gypsy Oracle card, and Uno cards. All right. Some people may not like that because they think, oh, well, you're not using tarot, so something's wrong with the reading. But what you have to understand is when you have a gift, most people who complain about that don't have that gift anyway. So, for those of you who question it, if you can read any kind of card, then, or any kind of anything, if you could read rocks, there are people who can read rocks. There are people who can read bones. There is a reader on here who reads coffee grinds. That's super dope to me. There's a reader who, there's readers who do runes. Okay, I'm doing runes. So there's different types of forms, tools of divination that you can use to do readings. You don't just have to do tarot. So with that being said, let's talk about the cards here and how they will affect you, because keep in mind that this solar eclipse is going to be in your 4th house. Not only is the moon, which is the solar eclipse, in your 4th house, the sun is there as well, because that's where Gemini is for you. So all of this is going on in Gemini, and then we have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Okay, so we got Mercury retrograde there, the sun there, as well as the lunar eclipse, all in Gemini. Now at the end of this video, I'm going to have attached your solar return, your all of the retrograde videos. You definitely want to check those out, because a lot of the planets, most of the planets go into retrograde every summer. And so this is a tricky time for a lot of people. People, oh, here we go, it's summertime, people going to be acting crazy. Yeah, that's true. But understand why. It's because all of these planets are in retrograde, people trying to go forward instead of sitting back and, the planets when they're in retrograde is all about reflection. It's all about assessing the situation, where that planet is in your particular house, which is whatever area in your house that the planet rules. It's all about looking and reviewing and what went down, right? You can't just move forward in life without going back to review things. Okay, so the summertime in reference to the planetary alignments is usually when that happens, right? So all of these planets are in retrograde. Right now we got Pluto in retrograde. We got Saturn in retrograde. We got Mercury in retrograde. This coming month, we have Jupiter and Neptune going in retrograde in your 1st house, Pisces. So I'm going to do readings for you on that. In August, Uranus is going in retrograde. So a lot of these planets, Mercury's going to come out, but we're still going to have the majority of these planets in retrograde until the fall. Okay? So this is a very important time, especially with this solar eclipse. This is to help you reset, renew, realign, learn from the past, and move on. So the rune that we have here is called Dagaz. It's spelled D as in David, A, G as in go, A, Z as in zebra. This is rune number 24. There are a total of 25 rune symbols in total. This one is the 24th one. To me, it talks about transformation, okay? This is all about transformation. It's also all about polarities or opposites, yin and yang, counterbalance. And it's amazing that this card comes out, and I'll tell you why in a second. But more about this card. This card talks about reversing energies, balancing forces, bringing about change, self-transformation. This card also talks about as different as night and day, polar opposites, exactly. Drawing of a new or dawning of a new day. The caterpillar becomes the butterfly. Yeah, transformation. It talks about opposite sides in balance, self transformation, growth, changing one's point of view, switching sides, and major life changes. Now, this rune represents transformation. It represents polarity, polar opposites, and reversals, and counterbalance. This is important because in your fourth house, we have the sun, because the sun is in Gemini, right? And then we have the solar eclipse, which is the moon. So we have the sun and the moon, the ultimate counterbalance, yin and yang, in your fourth house. And it's great that it's there because Mercury's there in retrograde. We know Mercury is our processing center as far as the brain, right? And this is how we process our thoughts and the things that happen to us is with Mercury. Now, when Mercury is in retrograde, some of the things that we had a hard time coping with or processing are put to the forefront for us to deal with. Okay, I talk about that in your Mercury retrograde reading, so check that out as well. So with the sun and the moon in your fourth house, this is all about balancing things out. You're not too much in your feminine energy, meaning that you're not overthinking, you're not overanalyzing, and you're not too much in your masculine energy, meaning that you're just not acting without thinking. Your thoughts are in line with your actions, which is beautiful, beautiful energy. Now let's talk about how the fourth house affects you. The fourth house is all about your nurturing vibration, the nurturing energy that you may have experienced when you were growing up, whoever nurtured you, whether it was a mother or a father, whether you grew up in a foster system, but whoever showed you nurturing energy in your formative years. We also talk about your bloodline, generation after generation, your roots, your heritage. That's what the fourth house deals with as well. It also deals with end of life affairs. Like, for example, if you have a family member who's going into a nursing home and you're getting everything situated, with their change in their cycle, Cancer deals with that. Cancer also deals with the home. Okay, so what happened when you were growing up, what your home environment was like inside your home, as well as what's going on inside your home as an adult. Not only does it deal with that, it also deals with what's going on with you, your private emotions and your private feelings. Okay, so for some of you with Mercury in retrograde, when that came into play here, things might have been a little difficult for you because it is for all of us from time to time. People are frustrated. People are lashing out, misguided anger. That type of thing is what's going on this summer. So you really have to, be careful when you go out. Plus people are super anxious to get out and live life and release stress anyway because of what's been going on with COVID. So, you just want to be careful. Mind yourself. If you're out in public and things go down, just, be cool. But this is about your private world. Okay. So for you, it's not about what's going on externally, but it could be because it could affect you. But, when you are someone who's ascending, to check anything that happens in the external realm. Before you let it affect you, check it with your higher self. Check it with your inner self. Does this make sense? Should I even be concerned about this? And if not, then you toss it. If so, then you deal with it accordingly, right? That's what somebody who is, evenly balanced mentally, that yin and yang energy, the sun and moon. So in reference to your emotions and your feelings, I feel like a lot of you are becoming more centered. Not too much in your emotions and feelings because, Pisces is a feminine energy. But I feel like it's balanced out for you. So with this energy here talking about the balancing out of those yin and yang energies, we have that clarified with Lover in reverse. I'll show you the card upright. Lover in reverse. Okay. And then we have that clarified with the Two of Swords. This is my Two of Swords card. Like I said, I'm using Uno cards here. All right, so that's the Two of Swords. I say it because it's blue, and blue represents the swords energy, okay, the air energy. All right, and the number 2. So Two of Swords. All right. So for those of you who need to correlate, okay. So what I feel like here is your emotions in reference to what's going on with you are being balanced out. I feel like for some of you, you may have come to the conclusion. Some of you are not really sure what to do. How can I say this? The fourth house deals with your inner emotions, your private thoughts, your private feelings. It also deals with, what may have happened to you when you were growing up, the relationship you had with your mother or whoever the nurturing person was in your life. It also has to do with things that have gone on in your bloodline, your heritages, your traditions, what's passed down through generation to generation. So for some of you, you could have been in situations where you weren't getting the love that you needed, especially, growing up. Maybe you grew up in an environment where your parents weren't around, or, and maybe for whatever reason, you may have been raised by other people in your family, or maybe you went to the foster system. Oh, they're out there riding with the motorcycles. Hold on. All right, they gone, they gone. So I feel like this is about balancing out your emotions and your feelings, because the fourth house rules your emotions. It's ruled by the moon. The moon has to do with your emotions, right? So I feel like for a lot of you, with the lover in reverse energy here, some of you may be looking at your relationships, your love relationships in reference to why they work out, why they don't work out, why they did work out, why they didn't work out. And with this Two of Swords energy here, you may be kind of confused about what's going on. You could be maybe in a position where you feel like you're always choosing, or people are always choosing something else over you. The people in your relationships, they could be always choosing you. You're always choosing them over you. I feel like putting yourself in a position where you're not showing yourself love. So for some of you, you could be neglecting yourself for others because you're too busy worried about how other people are going to feel. The Two of Swords energy, this is moon in Libra. So we're dealing with heavy moon energy, right? So you got your lunar eclipse, your solar eclipse within your fourth house, right? And then, we're dealing with the fourth house, which is ruled by the moon. And then we have this card here, which is Libra, which talks about the moon in Libra. So a lot of emotion, private feeling here. I feel like a lot of you are realizing that you've been in situations where you've been putting other people ahead of you. And you may have looked at it as it says, well, I did that because I love them. Whoever it was, whether it's a lover, whether it's a family member, whether it's your best friend, but whoever it is that you have emotion for, it's like you put them before you. And you've been doing that for a while here. And for some of you, it's because of the lack of love you may have experienced growing up. Maybe you didn't have or grow up in an environment where it was emotionally nourishing. You may have been provided for, but nobody, made sure that you were straight emotionally. Made sure that you knew that you were loved and that you are loved, So you grew up and you were in relationships where maybe you attracted people who didn't love you, or they loved you more than you may have loved them more. How can I say it? Some of us get into relationships where we don't love ourselves. We don't know that it's not that we don't love ourselves. We don't know. But what we do is we are looking to be emotionally nourished. So we get with people, and what we do is, in order for us to get that emotional nourishment, we think that we have to give it. So some of you have been over giving in relationships. Or you've been in relationships where you've been with needy people. People who need your time, energy, effort 24/7, and it's like too much for you. So it's either one end of the spectrum or the other. But I feel like if you have been in relationships where you've either been the needy one, or you've been the one where, the other person was needy, I feel like moving forward, you're not going to be attracting those types of relationships anymore, because you're balancing things out within you. Because as you know, we're a direct reflection of what we entertain. You can't help what you attract, but you help what you entertain. I could have 10 guys around me that could be attracted to me, but what speaks to an outsider who's looking at me and wants to figure out who I am, they would look at, okay, which guy do you actually entertain? Of these 10 guys who are attracted to you, showing you attention, which one do you entertain? The one that I entertain, if you look at that person and the relationship that we have, that's going to tell you a lot about me. Not the fact that these other 9 dudes are attracted to me. That has nothing to do with me. What has to do with me and a direct reflection of me is which one I choose and why. So I feel like for some of you, you're understanding that now. You're looking at, your emotions and your feelings and what was involved, where you were at emotionally when you were choosing these connections. And I feel like you're bringing things into balance within you so that now you will attract a balanced partner. For others of you, you realize that you've been in relationships where these people have not gave a shit about your emotional needs. And you're to the point where you've been dealing with that, and it got to the point where you started questioning yourself, which you shouldn't have to do. Right? So I feel like that's what you're doing. You're dealing with this privately as far as why you attract what you attract, who you attract, and working within yourself, working on yourself so that moving forward, you attract more evenly keeled people. You're not attracting people who are overly needy emotionally, and then you're not attracting people who are cold and ruthless. And so you are understanding now that it's about you. Because when you go through the healing process of things that may have happened to you as a child, and you understand what happened and you acknowledge it and you turn it into wisdom, now moving forward, you're going to attract more evenly keeled people and you're going to have more positive relationships. So with that being said, we're going to pull a card here to see what energies you would need to get into in order to make this happen for you. Okay, so that first card that came out, you need to get into your Aries energy. So you just need to take action. Okay? This Aries energy is all about being a radical, taking action. This is all about being a self-starter, being daring, being fierce, being assertive, fiery, exhilarating, innocent, on a mission, bossy, driving, sparky, courageous, selfish, macho, impulsive, argumentative, competitive. So maybe some of you were experiencing some of these types of attributes in your relationship, and you realize that, okay, I know why I've allowed these people around is because I have some unresolved issues within myself that I need to deal with. For some of you, it may have started as early as childhood. And you may be realizing that because Mercury's in retrograde and you're thinking back. But think about what's coming to your head a lot. Whatever's coming to your head a lot during Mercury retrograde time is what you're going to need to focus on, and you're going to need to draw the wisdom from that and learn the lessons from it. And once you do, you won't be attracting those type of people. You attract relationships that are more positive for you. Some of you are deciding that you're not going to get into love relationships because it gets too confusing for you. But that might give you an indicator as to why it's confusing. So with that being said, if it resonated, please click the like button. If you want to leave a comment on how it resonates, feel free to do so. Any negative comments towards me, my readings, or anybody in the 8th house energy community, you will be banned from the channel. You will be blocked. Please keep this as a place of refuge for people who want to express themselves. Thank you. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out the other retrograde placements. And don't forget, I'm going to be doing Jupiter in retrograde as well as Neptune in retrograde for you guys for that, which is coming up at the end of the month. All right, Pisces, I love you. I'll see you in the next reading.